Hello. I am back answering another question. Today we're going to go a little bit into a different question that I've received from someone probably a long time ago. And that was about the ugly drawing book that I often mention in my classes, for example, and I think I mentioned it in a workshop or in my newsletter or something like this. And they asked what it is and how we can start it. So, this is not an official Neurographica piece. This is something that I did for myself and also share with my students because I find it very, very helpful. So, what this is, in a way, is like a diary. It's something that you do for yourself that you don't show to anyone. I mean, you can, of course, but the purpose of it is to just mess around. I use it to just experiment, and I use it to just release whatever needs to be released, where I don't care if the things turn out nice or not. Of course, with Neurographica, one of the goals of the method is in the end to have something that we consider beautiful, but that is a very personal way. So something that I find beautiful is probably, not going to be beautiful for you, or it doesn't have to be. So we move away from a standard that we call beautiful. And the reason why I'm doing this in my ugly drawing book, and I call it ugly drawing book, is because then I don't have the intention to make something beautiful. I have the intention to allow the things to be ugly. And most of the time, especially when we work with catharsis, which is one of the things that we do in Algorithm 1 in the Neurographica Beginners course, the things in between do look ugly. It's just what it is. And there's a reason for it. It's good that it does because it's supposed to trigger something in us. And then we work through that. And then at the end, we may reach a point where we're like, oh, okay, so this is actually good. So I find this idea of turning it into something beautiful, we can think of it in a more abstract way. So beauty does not mean like visual beauty. Beauty can also mean that I have this really beautiful realization that really helps me in my life. This can be beauty. So when I talk about my ugly drawing book, I talk about just allowing yourself to create things that the outside world and probably your mind as well might not consider beautiful, and they're still worth creating. When we talk about art, many people, me included, in the beginning for sure, have this block that says art has to be a certain specific thing. Art is complicated, it's hard. I need to train for years and years and years. And of course, you're gonna get better the more you create. But to start, it's really, really helpful just to start and to practice. And this is why artists have sketchbooks and things like that. So you can think of the ugly drawing book as a sketchbook for Neurographica sketches, for Neurographica drawings. And the way I introduce it to my students and the way I use it is in the form of a daily drawing. In my Neurographica basic course, I actually do a challenge with my students where they are challenged to make a drawing every day for 7 days. And the people that do it, they receive a gift too. But yeah, so where this goes is to one of the principles actually of Neurographica that I really, really, really like is the last principle, number 10, that says drawing is easy. So Pavel Pyskayev, when he created Neurographica, the method, he set up 10 principles, and the last one says drawing is easy. So we can make it easy. And we always say, if you can hold a pen, you can draw. So anybody who can write, for example, they can draw. So it's really to take away this kind of big wall where we think art is somewhere behind that and I am here and I'm never going to get there. So when we start, in the ugly drawing book, then we allow ourselves to make something that is not considered beautiful by our mind, for example, or by other people. And that I feel can help us practice. And for me, Neurographica, neuro art is a practice. It is something that grows. It is something that you grow into, you grow with it. So I always tell my students, when you draw circles, for example, the first circle that I drew was not a perfect circle. Of course not. That's impossible. But after drawing a few thousand circles, your circles get pretty good. And of course, not every circle is still nice even. Like I draw circles that I really don't like. But that then has to do with what the circle means. And that is much more important than drawing a perfect circle. So making the ugly drawings and intentionally going with things where we meet our edge, this is where Neurographica really becomes deep internal work, where it's not like just, relaxing and drawing some nice lines and doing some nice stuff. No, it is working on your inner topics. And this ultimately, I believe, is really the strength of this method. It is that it allows us to go into internal places that may feel uncomfortable, and we can meet those places and get to know them and stretch our comfort zone to where we feel okay with them, okay in meeting them in our ugly drawing book. So I hope that this makes sense for everyone. I would love to hear if you have a practice like that, if you're okay with making drawings that are not perfect and not beautiful. So please share and also ask more questions.